Hi, I'm Bill Hitchcock, and in this Excel Basics video clip, what I'm going to demonstrate is how to set up your headers and footers. So that way, when we print out some of these spreadsheets, they're going to look a little bit better, give kind of a professional layout, I guess. So, looking at my spreadsheet here, I'm on the specifications sheet. The last time we were working on this, we were taking a look at how many columns, rows, cells, and sheets we had in a workbook and how all that translates. So what I'm going to do with this workbook is I want to set up my headers and footers. So the first thing that I recommend that you do is we want to do this for all the sheets in the workbook. And the easiest way to do it is if you right click on any one of these sheet tabs and then choose select all sheets. If you don't want to do it with all the sheets, you can click on one sheet, hold your control key, click on the other sheet that you want to grab, and that way it'll just do it on those two sheets. But in this case, I want it to be on all these sheets, setting this up. When you group sheets, be really, really careful because if you type something into this cell, for example, in cell D1, if I change this to something different, it's going to go on every single one of those sheets in the same place. So that's why be really careful when you group sheets like this. So anyways, what we're going to do is normally we're on the home tab. I'm going to come over here to the page layout tab, and in the page setup group, I've got this option for print titles. Now granted, you can get to headers and footers in other ways of doing this. For example, if you go to the view tab and you got the page break preview, you've got page layout, I would encourage you don't do it there. All right, instead go to page layout, and there's a few reasons why we do it this way. So go to page layout, choose print titles, and that pulls up this page setup dialog box, and you can move that around if you need to. Page setup dialog box has a number of different tabs itself. So there's the page tab, margins, header and footer, and sheet. Since I was working the last time, I had it on the sheet tab, so that's why that one pops up. If for some reason on your spreadsheet you want to see the grid lines, here's where you can check that on. Here you can put in row and column headings if you want to have that on there. Normally, I would say don't include it unless you're doing some training manuals or something like that. All it does is just waste some extra ink and it kind of clutters up the sheet. So I leave it turned off. But what I'm looking for here is the header and footer. So for the header and footer, you can choose some built-in headers and footers. So they've got some of those. But I like to do custom headers and footers. So what I would recommend for the custom header is up at the top, put in, if you're working for an organization, put in whatever the employee's title might be, for example. So let's say this spreadsheet happens to be done in the accounting department by a particular clerk. We want to put in their title so that way every month when this comes out, we kind of know who to go back to. But I'm just going to go ahead and type in my name, and it would encourage you to do the same. That way, at least they have somebody they can contact. In the center section, you might put in your organization name or a course name or something like that. So the course that I'm doing this for is my CIT 110, Computing and Infotech, Principles of Computing and Infotech. So I can put that here. And then I'm just tabbing over to the right section, or you can click there. Either one works. I'm going to type in the word date, printed, colon, and a space. Believe me, there's a space there. And then up here, they've got a number of different tools. For example, I can change the font. I can put in a page number, the number of pages. Here's the date. You can put in the time if you wanted to, the path to the file. Here's just the file name, the sheet tab name. You can put in images and so on. So I want the system date. So whatever the computer thinks the date is, that's what's going to get printed out. It's handy because when you print something out, somebody is going to have an idea about how old this report is. Because, if all of a sudden you pull up an old report and start saying, hey, these numbers don't look right, well, yeah, it's because it's a 2-year-old report. So that's why we want to have that date printed on this. So we'll hit OK, choose custom footer. For the left section, I'm going to type in the file name. The reason I like to have the file name, and all I need is the file, all right? You can always at least if you have that, you can always do a search on your computer system and hopefully find this file again. Because a lot of times people kind of bury it in different places, and we want to be able to pull this up. So I'll tab over to the center section. I'm going to put in page and get the page number. And then I'll type in space, the word of, and I want to have the total number of pages that my workbook is. Again, if I've got something that's printed out, stapled together, pass these around at a meeting so people can take a look at this stuff as they're waiting for the meeting to start. If for some reason a page got ripped off at the end, they'll know exactly how many pages there should be in this report, and it's just kind of a way to make sure that you have the full thing. All right, finally I tab over here. I'm going to type in the word sheet, colon, and use the sheet tab tool. Hit OK, and we'll try print preview and see how this all looks. And give me a minute as this pops up. It looks like I've got 6 pages. I've got my name up here. There's my documentation sheet. Go to the next page. Here's some of the specifications. Let's look at the next page. The next page. Oops, hang on. Sorry, there's the next page. There's 4. Looking good so far. 5. And finally, that last page seems like it kind of bled over. So now this is where we want to kind of clean things up a little bit. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to ungroup all my sheets. And I want to go to the sales stats. I want to take a look at the sales charts. Here's the one, if you look really carefully here, you can see this dotted line, which gives me a page break. So that particular sheet just bleeds over just a hair too far. So what I could do is go to print titles, go to the margins, and let's see if we can cut back on the right margin and see if that does the trick. And sure enough, just that little bit I could fit on those last symbols, and now I've just got one page that's going to get printed out there. And you can see my page break is kind of off to the edge here. So, that's kind of the cleaning up of things. All right, let's hit Control Home. Let's go back to my specifications sheet where we started with. I'll save my file and we'll wrap this one up.